Hi, it's Tim, and welcome to the Aussie Expat podcast. Today, I'm really excited because we're shooting our second episode out of Hong Kong, and I'm joined by my good friend Jonas Groom from awkward Mandarin Missteps in Beijing to decoding Cantonese slang in Hong Kong. Jonas has been in the trenches of Asia's expat experience. Yeah, so Jonas, I'm just really happy to have you here today. It's been we were very fortunate to meet through my company's sponsorship of the Dragons Club here. So, which again, I'm really thankful to you.
Thank you again.
It's been a new sponsorship for us, but you made us feel very welcome, and we had a really good time at the trivia night.
Yeah, that was lots of fun.
All I can ask as a company is, you really supported us, and so so thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you very much, Tim, for having me in this fantastic studio here. I feel like I'm in London or something. This is great.
I was really keen to get you on the pod because I think you've had a really interesting kind of obviously a story to get to Asia. And then obviously you've been in Hong Kong for how long?
Just over 1 year.
Yeah.
So I'm basically a local expat.
Yeah, getting
live in Slang.
When you get to you get to 7 years, 10 years, then
I'll get a PR. That'll be done to question.
The Hong Kong milestone, isn't it? The 7 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
But yes, I guess it'd be good to hear a little bit about your backstory first, and then
of course,
kind of how you ended up here.
Where do we start? Honestly, this is my first sort of talk show podcast, so I'm a little bit wary because I love
the man of the hour.
Yeah, this is great. We could be here all night, guys. This is going to be a big one. But basically, long story short, grew up in a family where mum and dad were always pushing us to learn languages and interested in the arts and culture. I remember mum at university, she actually studied art history.
Okay.
And I remember earliest memories of going on holidays. And one time we went to Europe and she she took us to all these museums in Paris. And I was about 9 years old. And I just remember being like, wow, what's all these paintings, like all this stuff. And
They're incredible there as well.
It's amazing. Looking back, it was such an amazing experience. But ever since a young age, basically, I've been involved in, humanities, social sciences, the arts and history.
Yeah.
And my dad also, he studied Latin at university and was a history professor, I believe, in his younger days.
Parents are very cultured.
Yeah, very cultured, I like to think. But, I'm taking the crown forward. But basically, did French at high school, in high school.
Yep.
And I loved it. I remember I
learned French in high school as well, but I can introduce myself and can do some numbers now.
Oh, it was lovely. But learning French in high school, I remember I'd just broken up with my, high school sweetheart. I was about 15, 16 years old. And the opportunity came to, who wants to go on the high school exchange to France to study French? And I said, I'll do it. And I remember I'd just broken up. There was all this heartache, high school relationships.
Yes.
And I went over to France and had the time of my life, was speaking to French girls at the recess break. And it was really fascinating and learning a lot about the language and the culture. And coming back, I realized that actually there's a whole world out there. It's not just, the inner west of Sydney where I grew up.
Yes.
And ever since coming back from that initial high school exchange, long story short, I ended up doing French at university for my undergrad. So majored in French, did a Bachelor of Arts. And ever since
Whereabouts?
Sydney Uni.
Okay.
Yeah, Sydney Uni. Inner West Sydney boy through and through. Love my lattes, the short, narrow alleyways to walk to.
Love it.
Great. And I'm waffling on a little bit here, Tim.
Waffle as much as you want, Jonas. Don't worry.
I'm at home. This is fantastic. But to answer the question, basically, ever since a young age, always been interested in arts and history.
Yeah.
Did the Bachelor of Arts majoring in French language, minoring in history.
Okay.
As my undergrad.
General history or
European. But I also did a semester on Asian history, which is where the story starts.
Yes.
So I did a semester on Asian history and did a university exchange to France. So after the high school exchange, a few years later, I went back, had the time of my life, when you're young and at university, no responsibilities, no stress. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Were you in Paris?
No. I was keen to go skiing. So I went down near Lyon.
Okay.
So down near the Swiss border. And to be honest, I was, a bit too busy going to, the uni bars. So my marks weren't that good for Paris. I've made up for it now. But, but basically went to a small town called Grenoble, right on the Swiss border. Okay. Right near Annecy, where that lake is that all the Instagrammers go to.
Yeah.
So came back and finished the Bachelor of Arts degree, started interning at the Maritime Museum in Sydney. So I sort of, pursued my history excitement and interests.
Yeah.
But I thought, what? I'm not ready to get a job in Sydney and then start going to work and do the 9 to 5. I was about 23 at the time. So this was, you're going to hear my age here, but this was in 2018, 2017. So I'm 29 now, turning 30.
So old. I don't know how you're standing right
Honestly,
now.
I had to get the walker up here. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's why I've started yoga as well, just to help with the flow.
No comment.
No comment. No, it's all right.
I'm a little bit older than you. So.
Yeah. Oh, no, come on, Sarah. 30's not that big. It's okay. But so graduated, did a bachelor, did the internship at the Maritime Museum.
Yep.
And look, after graduating with an arts degree, I will say, unfortunately, that, you don't get as many job offers as the students that graduate with a business degree or an economics degree, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what, I'm keen to pursue history and languages, but I'm not ready to sort of settle down in Sydney and work at a museum and kind of, calm down. I still want to go overseas.
Yeah.
And instead of, just going to Europe and going to Ibiza or all the, the parties, I thought, why not do something fun, but also constructive for later in life? And so that's where the seed was planted in my head. Why not go to China and teach English? Because I'd done a semester on Chinese history. So I'd learnt about the Century of Humiliation, the British colonization of Hong Kong, the Taiping Rebellion. Sorry, I'm getting really nerdy here, but all these factors that us growing up in a Western country, we actually don't learn about China. We learn about the First World War, Vietnam War, Second World War, but we don't actually learn about all that stuff in the 19th century, the 1800s.
It's one of the oldest, what's the word? Oldest
continuing
civilizations,
in
the world, right? And there's a huge amount of history here that we just don't get exposed to in Australia.
5,000 years of history, and it's fascinating. All of it, all the tales, all the stories. And as a bit of a history nerd, I love reading about it and love studying it. So I made the decision in 2018 to leave my friends and my family and move to Beijing to teach English. And look, teaching English, as you can probably tell, I've still retained a bit of the teaching. I move my hands a lot. I speak. I enunciate clearly. Good morning, Tim. How are you?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Gray.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. You can say that again. No. But yeah, basically spent a year and a half teaching English. First of all,
how did you get over there in the first place? Do you just kind of rock up and or do you find an agency to get there?
Yeah, Google teaching English in China.
Yeah.
And look, there's a bit of a bad stereotype about the Westerners that go teach English in China. It's not, you're a loser or da-da-da. But I wasn't worried about any of that.
Yeah.
On my job, my visa job was teaching English, but really I was there to continue that journey that I first started when I went on that high school exchange, journey of discovery, of learning, of personal growth. And so Googled, teaching English in China, hooked up with this, I'm not hooked up, that's the wrong word, but got in touch with this teaching agency.
Yeah, okay.
Which is basically, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the English teaching scene in China, but it's kind of like a bit of a play school type of vibe.
Okay.
They give you flashcards, you jump around in a room, make the kids laugh, make them speak English.
So, and it's kids that you're teaching there?
Yeah, so from the ages of about 3 to 14, really.
Okay.
And you do after school classes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Did that for a year, but you progress to then working at a school there. So
okay.
Actually, in 2019, I moved to a school in Beijing, and that was so much fun. I was teaching year 1 English and science.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can imagine me, Mr. Groom, teacher Groom.
Yeah.
You'd walk into the classroom, the kids would, 老师好, they'd bow down and greet you. Because in Asia, there's that respect for teachers that may not be there in the West.
Yes.
So lived in Beijing and honestly had the time of my life.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Did you learn Mandarin when you got to Beijing, or did you have some skills before you went?
I'd studied Mandarin for a year at university.
Okay.
But similar to when you don't learn a language that intensely, I could introduce myself, I could order food, get a taxi.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So I really started learning when I moved to Beijing, because you walk around and you actually, hang on, I can't actually communicate with everyone. This is frustrating. I want to be able to talk. I want to be able to say no, yes, or where's this, where's that? Oh, what do you do for work? Connect with people.
Yeah.
And so lived in Beijing for a year and a half, and that was so much fun.
Yeah.
And also during that time, I met this English guy who still lives in Beijing.
Okay.
And he did some work at Adidas or Nike, but then he left and he started his own tourism company, which was based around electric bikes, taking bunches of tourists who came to Beijing, predominantly Western tourists, taking them around on electric bikes and stopping off at all the cultural, historical sites in the city.
Yep.
And I remember we got chatting and he actually said, oh, you seem like a bit of a bubbly guy, a bit of a character. Would you mind taking some of my tours for me? Okay. But basically he said, oh, would you mind, doing some tours for me, helping me out? I said,
yeah, sure.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I actually was a tour guide in Beijing. And so I could apply that history I learned.
Yes.
And I remember I took a German family out on bikes.
Yeah.
Some Lithuanians, Swedish people, some Australians. And it was so much fun.
I mean, that would have been awesome for you as well, because it's like two of your best loves, right? You've got history and you have languages as well. And I think judging by your Instagram, like languages is a big thing in your family.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's huge.
For anyone that doesn't know, Jonas is a little micro influencer now. All right. Are we up to like 15 or 20,000?
Yeah, well, I just reached 15,000. But thank you very much for the plug, Tim. That's great. We'll put the link down below.
What's your handle on Instagram?
Handle JGroomy1. So Jonas Groom 1.
Yes. Yeah.
I made it. It's honestly my personal Instagram.
Yeah.
But when I arrived, I made some videos and they went viral. And I had my Instagram set to public. Anyone can follow you.
Yes.
And I just remember waking up and this one week I had about 6,000 Hong Kongers follow me after a few of my videos went viral. And I said, oh, well, I guess I don't have a private Instagram anymore. I can always do the close friends things, but it's social media. It's there to connect with people, have fun.
But it's also a lot of fun, right? I think we've probably skipped ahead, but it's all right. We can always go back to it's kind of when you moved to Hong Kong. But I think, it's a very... So for everyone that's listening as well, you're obviously got Mandarin and now you've been learning Cantonese since you moved to Hong Kong as well, right? Yes. So a lot of your Instagram it's a lot of eating. That's what I've noticed.
Yes, done.
Of course. But it's you on kind of your Cantonese learning journey, right? And just kind of putting it into practice here and having a lot of locals appreciate it or kind of look at you and go,
exactly.
What's the same?
Yeah. Because Tim, you're from Melbourne, are you?
I grew up in Brisbane. But I lived in Melbourne for a long time. Yes.
I think growing up in Australia, there's a huge Cantonese influence in the Chinese restaurants.
100%.
I remember,
especially in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's huge. Like going to school, you'd have a lot of friends that would have the last name Chan, Wong, and those are real. That's like the Cantonese transliteration. Basically, in Australia, ever since the gold rush, a lot of Southern Chinese have emigrated.
Yes,
and called Australia home. We're now this fantastic multicultural country.
Yeah,
but I remember, growing up in Australia, thinking, I want to learn more about. You go around a friend's house and say, oh my God, this family's Chinese. I wonder what that's like.
Yes.
And you hear all the stereotypes and, all the schoolyard jokes and stuff. But really, I wanted to get underneath that and really understand what is Chinese culture and what's the history behind these families that are now Australian. And, you go to all the Chinese restaurants, you get the honey soy chicken.
Yeah. Realize lemon chicken doesn't actually exist in China.
Yeah. I realized, I remember when I went to Beijing, I was expecting, dim sum and, sweet and sour pork, crispy skin chicken. But up in northern China, the food's almost completely different.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that actually China's this geographical area in this country, but within China, there's so many regional variations. You have the Cantonese, you have the northern Chinese, you have the Sichuan, so the West food and flavors and history.
Yes.
And that's also what pushed me to learn more about Cantonese, really.
Yeah.
Because I'd sort of lived in northern China, lived in Beijing, but now, living in southern China, living in Hong Kong, I wanted to learn more about this Cantonese culture that we almost grew up with at the Chinese restaurants, the Bruce Lee movies, the Kung Fu and all that stuff.
And I think I am 100% ahead of my heart, I will confess to it. Like, I think before a lot of us move up into Asia, it's very easy to be ignorant to even know that there's differences or kind of where all those influences come from as well. Like I had no idea at all before I moved to Singapore. And and then you move home and I'm like, oh God, I was actually really ignorant when I lived.
Yeah, there's so many units. Very interesting. And now, actually, I joke with my Australians who have Cantonese or Chinese heritage. I'm saying when I come back, I'm actually going to quiz your Cantonese.
Yes,
and a lot of them they can't actually speak Cantonese. Like, oh, you speak better Cantonese than me. What's going on? So it's kind of fun.
So how long you were in Beijing for? What, like 18 months?
A year and a half.
Yeah. And
actually, I remember it was, we all will remember this date, but January 2020. Well, technically March 2020. Living in Beijing, I'd booked a 3-week holiday to come back to Sydney to see my friends and family.
Yeah.
And a week and a half into that trip, COVID erupted, the borders were shut, and I actually couldn't go back to China because Australia shut the borders.
Yeah.
And so I ended up staying in Sydney and teaching online for 6 months. So you can imagine waking up and FaceTiming these little 7-year-old kids and trying to do classes. It was quite an experience.
Yeah, yeah.
And I actually had to get all my apartment, well, not all of it. I was sharing. I had an American roommate.
Okay.
But I had to get all my clothes and some furniture actually shipped back to Sydney because I wasn't able to go and retrieve it. And so all in all, I worked as a teacher in China for 2 years.
Okay.
The last 6 months of that was online through my phone in Sydney.
Yeah, okay. Which would have been his own experience. Yeah, I don't know. No one likes to relive COVID. I know it would have been really difficult as well.
The local, what were they called? The local government area where you couldn't get out the 5 kilometers of the...
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll cut this.
No, it's fine. Yeah, just kind of... Again, I can't imagine being a teacher and having to teach little kids from a screen.
I know, and I felt sorry for them because they're there, their attention, they're 7 years old, they're looking at everything and trying to sit there and ask them to repeat sentences and phrases. It was really tough, and I felt sorry for them. I felt sorry for the parents. But I was kind of loving it, really. I'd work for 3 hours a day, do online classes, and the rest was just a bit of marking and go walk the dog and spend time with family.
Silver lining, Trent.
Yeah.
Silver lining. You so when you went back home and obviously you finished up, did you went back to study again? Or?
So I went back and I remember thinking, okay, I've got an arts degree. I've done some teaching in China. I could do a master's of education, but this was when I was 24. Yeah, when I went back to Sydney, and I thought, you know what, I want to be that international businessman. I want to work in Asia because working in Beijing as a teacher, I'd been to the CBD and I'd seen and met some people that work in finance or business and thought, oh, that would be interesting. That would be cool. So I actually decided against the Master of Education and did a Master of International Business at the University of Sydney. And it was a real COVID degree. It was 1.5 years duration. So it was highly sought after to get in. So luckily through my experience in China and Mandarin language skills and my whole positioning of myself as, I want to work in Asia. I want to work with Australia's largest trading partner.
Yes.
Bridge that cultural
gap. Especially at that
and,
time as well.
Definitely. And so enrolled and got accepted into the MIB, the Masters of International Business. And that was a fantastic course. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the exchange element. So before COVID, what they do is you do 2 months in Peru or in China and you go and do an internship for a global company. Okay. But unfortunately, we just had to write a report for a global company in Sydney. Okay. So that was the one bummer. But apart from that, I loved it. Yeah. I had some really interesting classes. I had a class about Chinese state-owned enterprise business practices and learning about the Chinese economy and the regulatory environment in mainland China, which is fascinating. Yeah. And I think really helps me now in my current role.
100%.
And so graduated from there and I thought, COVID was starting to ease off. And then I applied to a global accounting and consulting firm. Sure. And was lucky enough to be accepted and started working there at about 2021 and worked there for 3 years. And then the opportunity came to actually to move to Hong Kong. Yeah. And so I moved to Hong Kong last May.
Okay.
So we're about 13 months into the journey.
Yes.
And luckily, I was lucky enough to meet Tim and the staff at Aussie Expat Home Loans.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I guess let's talk about when you first moved into Hong Kong, right? So, and I guess working for like a global company in your time that you were, maybe we'll take a step back. So you spent, obviously worked in Beijing for 18 months, right? Do you find that spending that time there kind of changed your mindset about how you approach some problems now, working for like a big corporate firm? Or do you find like when you went back to work in Australia, you would approach things a little bit differently, having some more sensitivity and understanding to to the region and kind of how it works?
That's a great question. Look, I'd say everyone, sort of, teachers, you just kind of teach kids. But really, I loved my little stint in teaching because it taught me the importance of communication.
100%.
And some people really underestimate how important communication is, how important it is to show someone, hey, we need to convey this to the client, or, communicating even interpersonal skills when trying to navigate difficult strategic or political relationships with people in the office or with the clients. That really taught me, the importance of speaking slowly. And this is where, I remember I taught 7-year-old kids speaking slowly, using hand movements, really making the message that you want to convey really clear and succinct. especially in consulting, because, you have these huge PowerPoints or these huge reports, and, no one likes to read lots of words. We like to get the message clear and straight and really, direct.
Yeah.
So I believe that my time in China teaching English really taught me the importance of communication, but then also taught me that, cultures are different. People work and operate differently. So I'm extremely, what's the word? Extremely extroverted. Sorry, I'll say it.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely extroverted.
Yeah.
And I remember, working with some people, you think, oh, like you just want to shake them, like, oh, wake up, come on, get some energy, let's do this. But you realize some people work best on their own in a quiet environment. They're diligent. Whereas I'm really, as you can probably tell, I'm in your face, I'm energetic, oh, let's get this, let's work together.
Yeah.
So it taught me not to get frustrated at people that may not have the same working style.
Yeah,
to kind of let them do their thing, within reason. If they don't do anything, then, cut them off. But if, it takes them maybe a day or two to kick into gear, and then they smash it, good on them, they can do their thing.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole topic of like leading people and managing.
Yeah.
Especially, managing people up in Asia is so different to managing people back home. And I've had to learn the same thing as the company's grown as well. Like you can motivate in a way that isn't like too full on for a lot of them as well.
Actually,
Can
you please teach me that? I need some classes on that.
Jonas.
Yeah, patience, of course.
Is there
Oh, sorry, you asked me about the move to Hong Kong, didn't you?
Yeah.
So look, the opportunity came up, and I was, living in Sydney, but really I felt like I was just getting old in Sydney. You're sitting there.
How long were you back there for? Like 2 years?
So
3 years?
from 2020 until 2024, so 4 years really.
Yeah.
But 2 of those years or 3 of them were COVID, so they don't really count.
Yeah.
But I felt, I want to get back overseas, and so I was looking at a few overseas opportunities, and this opportunity with Hong Kong came up, and I just jumped at it.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of my friends in Sydney, everyone's kind of getting the dog, getting the mortgage, settling down. But I feel like I'm a free spirit. I'm not quite ready for that stage yet. So I was keen to get back out there and see more of the world, especially because, we all lost 2 years of our life in COVID.
Yes.
I feel like I remember we couldn't have Christmas for 2 years and couldn't go overseas, couldn't do anything. So I feel like I'm making back the lost time. And so, saw this opportunity, went for it. And I can safely say I moved to Hong Kong without knowing anyone.
Yeah.
Not even my team.
I was going to ask, had you spent any time here before?
No, moved
here.
Never. Yeah. And I remember everyone's asking me, oh, you moved? Oh, how long have you been there for?
Yeah.
Have you been there before? What did you like about it? I said, oh, look, I actually have never been.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
everyone was like, whoa. But
it's a very brave thing to do.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But, you only live once. YOLO, as they say. But a lot of people have said like, oh, if anyone were to do it, you're the right person to do it.
And sometimes as well, you can go into somewhere without having any real preconceptions or any real expectations of what the experience is going to be, right? Yeah. Like you just come in and you just make it work once you get here. And this is one of the best cities, I think, to do it in the world because there's so much happening. You've also, I think, just come at the right time because Hong Kong was in a little bit of recovery, I think, after COVID. But even I've noticed coming back in the last 12 months with just I'm visiting more because of the business. The energy is coming back.
Of course.
It's not what's going to be before COVID, but it's still a really exciting place. I love coming here.
And I love that you're here. Yes. And I'm happy to contribute to that Hong Kong energy. No, it is. Yeah,
it's just got a lot of edge. I think what I really notice is there's a lot of people starting businesses here. There's a lot of younger people starting businesses here as well, which, it's very, I don't know. It's hard to explain. There's just a lot more energy here.
There's a bit of energy, a bit of zest.
Yeah.
No, perfect. And that's what drew me to Hong Kong because growing up, you'd always hear, oh, Hong Kong, this amazing city, this cool area, the Cantonese culture. And I thought, you know what, let's go live there. Let's, what's the worst can happen? I'll come back after a year, or if it's really bad and I don't like it after 6 months, at least I can say that at the end of the day that I, moved somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that a year on, it was the first few months were a bit rocky in terms of waking up and you'd think, oh, I'll just call my friend. Or actually, I don't have any friends. That's that moving to a different city. That's what they don't tell you about. Because whenever people move to London or overseas, you see their Instagram rolls. And it's the highlights, the glamorous lights of them at the pub with all their friends. But what they don't show is that you're going to be lonely for some time. Yeah. You're going to feel homesick. You're going to feel out of place. You're going to feel different. but you got to persevere and push through them. That it'll,
Yeah.
you know, come back again here and there.
It takes a good, honestly, 1 to 2 years to really settle somewhere. I mean, I've moved cities 4 times now, and this is 3 of them were in Australia. And even that move is like isolating. It's the same thing. You turn up and you don't know anyone. You don't have a group around you. And yeah, unless you have, you know, I always say home is like where your friends and family are, right? And if you don't have people around you, it can feel very lonely. But at the same time, the thing I really love about being up here is you can meet anyone and you have a shared experience with them automatically. So building friendships, building relationships, just getting someone to go and have a drink with you is actually a much easier exercise than it ever is in Australia.
Exactly, I know. Because in Australia, what I've noticed, and I'm guilty of this too, but everyone has their high school or their uni friends that they've had for 10 plus years.
Yes.
And so you say, oh, can I bring someone new, Matt? Or do you want to go? They're like, oh, no, I'm going to sit here and make the same jokes I've made for 10 years with the same people, which, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's also good to expand the network and meet new people. So Hong Kong's the right place for that.
Now I learn, I just make sure I go back and visit enough to get the fix from it.
Yeah, get the banter and the Aussie dose. Yeah.
What's what have you found as the biggest difference between living here versus living on the mainland?
Oh, okay. So that's, in answering that question, I feel that number one is different stages of my life. So living on the mainland, I was 23 to 24. I was working as an English teacher, but really just having fun. And I actually lived, they'd house you with other teachers.
Okay.
But then I moved out with another teacher. That
Could be really fun or a complete nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had some interesting stories. But really, right in that moment, early 20s, you know, no cares, no worries. But also it is the cultural difference is very strong compared from mainland China to Hong Kong. Because in mainland China, there's no Western internet. There's no YouTube, Google, Facebook. It's all blocked. So there's that lack of pop culture references that we can really, you know, you say, oh, did you see this funny meme? Or, oh, do you remember that TV show? Or, you know, how to connect with people.
Yeah.
That was a real struggle in Beijing because there's not that Western internet. And of course, you know, majority of people are Chinese. So they have a different culture, different history, different outlook. So that was a big difference. And I believe that in Hong Kong, because there's that Western influence, there's the British colonization period. Yeah. And of course, you know, there is Western internet here. So there definitely is a lot more Western influence. Yeah. And in the conversations with people and in the jokes and the humor. And also there's a larger amount of expats here. Yeah. So if we wanted to, Tim, after this pop, we can go to a Western bar, speak English all night, hang out with Aussies. Yeah. It'd be like we're just back at home.
Yeah. Whereas the melting pot is, it's very strong. Yeah.
Whereas in Beijing, you know, there's the odd Irish bar, but apart from that, it's very Chinese.
Yes.
So I think that's a big difference between living in Beijing compared to China.
Yeah.
Compared to Hong Kong.
Yeah. I wanna get into some language chat.
Oh, yeah. So that means very good, by the way. Not saying
from my understanding, and I have no idea, but my understanding, like, is in Cantonese, like, tone is everything.
Exactly.
Right? So what is probably like, have you ever said something accidentally that's just completely wrong or completely like off the wall? And you're like,
I have the perfect story. This exactly exemplifies how difficult Chinese is.
Yeah.
So we might have to edit and put some Chinese characters on the screen to help the audience along. But
okay.
So the word for Sydney is Sydney.
Okay.
Sydney. Now, so we'll have that down here on the left, Sydney. Okay. So when you know, oh, hey Jonas, hey Tim, where are you from? Say, hey, Sydney. But then, so Sydney is Sydney. Now the word to eat is sek. Basically, to me, almost the same.
Yeah.
But to Cantonese speakers, oh no, they're different tones. Sounds exactly the same to me. Almost exact. So, and then you is nay. So Sydney. Sydney.
Yeah.
And you can imagine in Cantonese, just like English, there are some slang words, some dirty words. So, and I learned this and I'll never forget this, but to eat can also mean the verb in slang to make love.
Okay.
So you have to be careful with it. So I'm not sure how we're going to get this on the podcast, but I was actually speaking to a female friend, which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't a date or anything, a genuine female friend. And, or someone, you know, met on a night out, whatever, we're chatting, friend of a friend. Said, oh, where are you from? I said, hey, Sydney. And like, I'm from Sydney. And she was like, oh, why don't I? I said, oh, no, oh, hey, Sydney. And it sort of morphed into, I started saying, oh, I'm eating you, which means something else in Cantonese slang. And some guy was there, he was laughing. He's like, oh, like, do you know what you're saying? I said, yeah, I'm saying I'm from Sydney. He said, no, you're saying you're ex-wife. I said, oh my God, that's not. And we're all laughing. It was really funny. But that just personifies how difficult Cantonese is.
Yeah.
And every single word can mean, I feel like compared to Mandarin, there's a lot more dirty words in Cantonese, a lot more slang, naughty words.
Yes.
And there's a higher risk in Cantonese of saying something that can mean something bad or dirty.
Yeah.
More than in Mandarin. And that's an perfect example.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, even like I'll be at a dinner with some of my friends in Hong Kong and they will be talking Cantonese to each other, but there's so many times they have to reinforce to each other what they're saying till they like understand this is the word, this is the right one.
Yeah, exactly. There's like number 9, like gao, if you go first tone, it actually means the male genitalia, which is a tough one. And so every time I count to 10 or I say 90 or 9 when I'm ordering food, I'm really careful.
Yes. Do you have a time, like, do you get a lot of people that are really proud though that you at least give it a go or you try or that you're learning?
Yes. Yeah, lots of people. And just before I even started doing the big Instagram videos, even just colleagues and people when I'd go buy food or just meet people out in the street, they'd be like, oh, like, hou geng ah, like, oh, you're awesome, hou sai le, you're so smart. And because in Cantonese, Cantonese people are so proud of their language, and it's as such, you know, and it's a big cultural language. There's all these movies, the Bruce Lee, the Jackie Chan, like this Cantonese culture in Hong Kong is so strong. So when you make the effort to learn Cantonese, you know, it puts a smile on the locals' faces. They really love it, and not just because they appreciate you learning the language, but they appreciate how difficult the language is.
Yes.
So they appreciate it even more.
Yeah.
Because now, you know, with global business, Mandarin is going to be the next big language. Arguably, it already is.
One of my questions is going to be around, like, have you found it's really helping you here professionally as well?
Cantonese?
Or Mandarin as well,
Look,
does it make some things easier?
Yes. So actually, I'm seeming like just a chatterbox, but I can talk to the local staff in the office.
Yeah.
And by local, I mean either from the mainland or from Hong Kong, because both of them can speak Mandarin.
Sure.
So I can break down barriers that way and get a bit of small talk in and you know, connect with colleagues.
Yes.
But then also when I'm on calls, for example, with some teams in mainland China, I can actually, my Mandarin's at that level. It's not quite, I can read and write a report, but I can have calls and, you know, give instructions or say, you know, a bit in between conversational and working proficient.
Yeah, okay.
I can actually I remember I did a Teams call in Mandarin with the team from mainland. And after the call, I had a colleague, she's like, oh, that was, you know, well done, good on you.
Yeah.
And I find that, you know, with anyone, any group of people that aren't comfortable speaking a language, maybe because their level isn't that good or they're shy, when you can speak their mother language, they really open up and communicate and convey a lot more information. So I'd say that although, you know, predominantly my team works in English, and I think about 95% or 90% of our outputs and deliverables are all in English, there is the odd Mandarin or Cantonese. Actually, no, they're the same thing, aren't they? Sorry, they write in the same language. They speak different ones. Although predominantly the team, you know, we work in English and all the work we produce is in English, there are occasionally Chinese outputs and reports and and collaboration with mainland teams. So what I can really do is I can communicate with them and really get stuff done quick, smart, and not have to go through the awkward language barriers. Yeah. So I think that, yes, it is helping, not to a huge extent, but, you know, it is still helping.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more than the rest of us have, Jonas. So
thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about your interest in history as well, because I know we touched on it before, but it's a really interesting topic. Yeah, and I love history as well, but awesome. I wish I knew more about Chinese history. I need to, when I get a bit more free time.
Yeah, you do it also something, university online or something.
But I guess, if you could spend, if there was like a period of time in China's history that was like really fascinating that you could live in, what would be like one particular dynasty or period that would be?
It would be, so in the Ming Dynasty, which is So the Qing was the last one, then the Ming, and then I think it was the Yuan, possibly. Yeah, Yuan. So those are the Mongols. Basically, in about, I think it was the 1500s or mid 1400s maybe.
Yeah.
There was this Chinese admiral who actually, basically before the Portuguese or the Spanish discovered America and the New World, the Chinese actually set sail from China through Indonesia, around India, all the way to the east coast of Africa. And this Chinese Admiral Zheng He, he commanded the fleet, and he was in charge of all these. And they went around, it was like a tribute trading mission. And I would love to go to that time and be there, be on that ship and go see all the old ancient cultures and learn, classical traditional Chinese and be there. That would be fascinating. But then another period would also be to understand more about, Chinese psyche today and the geopolitical environment, to be there during, I don't know, the Boxer Rebellion, I think it was 1870s, Boxer Rebellion was 1901, where all the Western powers came in and started parceling up pizza, started colonizing parts of China and seeing the interaction between the East and the West. That would be a fascinating period to live in. Not a very happy one, but it would be fascinating to understand.
And putting it over today's context, I think, of where things are as well, it would help explain a lot more to, I think, in the West.
Of course, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim? Where would you go back?
Oh, I have no idea. What is that? when they built the Terracotta Army.
Oh, yeah,
I've been down the YouTube rabbit hole on that recently.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's fascinating. And then all the booby traps they have that they haven't sprung. And
I think some tourist recently actually fell over in there and fell on one of them.
Yeah,
smashed it. So I think he's in a lot of trouble now. But
they had to recreate a lot, I think, because there was a lot that were smashed and
put
a lot of it back together. And
dug them up. The sun just kind of got rid of all the paint, the erosion and everything.
It's just one of those great wonders. It's just the amount of effort that it would have taken, and it's obviously connected to a big mound and a pyramid. And
I don't know. I don't want to dig up the rest of it.
No, I haven't, because they think there's booby traps, stuff that's around it that's quite dangerous. And imagine, but again, that's incredibly fascinating.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Well, I'll do a little quick fire with you. So, what's one word you still can't pronounce correctly? Cantonese, and obviously we're going to make you try and pronounce it.
Ooh, okay. One word I can't pronounce correctly.
Although you get wrong a lot.
Probably Sydney.
Yeah.
Probably Sydney. Sydney. Yeah. Sydney. No, that one's terrible. I don't know who created the language, but why do they have to make it like that? That's why sometimes I wish I was from Melbourne or Brisbane.
Yeah.
But
what's Melbourne?
Melbourne. Oh, I could get my phone. Actually, do you have a? Well, my phone's in my bag, but put Melbourne in Google Translate. They've got the English to Cantonese function.
Okay,
it's been my savior. Mak yi bun. Yeah, mak yi bun. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll do that. Yeah. Mak yi bun. Yeah, that's Melbourne. Okay. Brisbane would definitely be something also very difficult.
Okay.
But that's it'll come to me. But I think all Cantonese words are difficult.
Yeah.
I actually can't pronounce really anything correctly. but based on the context of the sentence, my friends and colleagues can understand the general gist of what I'm saying. But I don't think I'll ever get the turns right, to be honest.
Yeah.
Unless I live here and work here in the language every day for 5 years.
Yeah.
But I'm happy, speaking like a 6-year-old. It's kind of funny,
It's I think you talked about it before. They appreciate the novelty.
Yeah.
At least you're trying.
Exactly.
And it goes a long way to, I think, endearment with people as well.
Yeah. We'll do some group classes together, Tim. Don't worry.
I just embarrass myself a lot.
I'll join the club.
Favorite street food here?
Favorite street? It would have to be fan, which is pork chop and rice. Okay, so you can get that.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, the cha chan tangs, and or I just walk in, and that's one of the only dishes I know at that particular type of restaurant. You can get the gok ju pa fan, which is kind of like a pork chop lasagna-y rice, where they kind of put cheese over it and tomato sauce and they bake it. But it can be a bit tough on the hips, so I like the ju pa fan. Is just, it hits the spot. Simple, easy, delicious.
Yeah,
very salty.
Okay,
probably a bit of MSG, but didn't hurt anyone.
I'm getting hungry now.
Yeah.
This question, if it doesn't mean anything, we can just get rid of it. But it says Guilo or native, who would win at chanting cheers in Cantonese? So what is cheers in Cantonese for a start? Is that a thing?
Oh, here we go. I'll get my my water glass up. Yum boy.
Yum boy.
Yum boy, yeah. Okay. So in Mandarin, gumby.
Okay.
Cantonese, yum boy. I think...
Is there a thing with that? Or it's just, I don't know.
I think it's just commonly said on, well, tonight, definitely. Yeah. On the weekend. But it's basically asking if the foreigners or the locals would say yum boy correctly. I think the locals would, but maybe the foreigners would say it a bit more. Because there's actually this expression, and it's called guilo leng cha, which means guilo tea.
Okay.
And that's what they call beers, because for us Westerners or foreigners, we love drinking beer as much as the Chinese love to have, the traditional tea. And so guilo leng cha, that's a slang word. Yeah. So the next time you order a beer, you say, oh, guilo leng cha, guy. They'll know exactly what you're like. Oh, he wants a beer. Yeah. It's very useful.
Love it. I think, if you were thinking of if you were going to give advice to someone that was thinking about moving up here or wanted to move up here, what would you say?
Go for it.
Go for it.
But it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No.
It's not what the Instagram puts it out to be. There's going to be moments where you feel a bit lost, you feel a bit sad, you feel a bit, oh, what am I doing? But all in all, fantastic experience. Very glad I've done it. Yeah.
How would you sum up like your first year?
First year?
Yeah.
Oh, like an adventure, but sort of like a Lord of the Rings adventure where there's bad parts and there's good parts. It's not like you're climbing.
What were some of the most challenging for you? Was it just the loneliness or?
Yeah, most challenging. Oh, look, I'm not, I wasn't sitting in my room huddled in a corner crying, but the first 2 months were difficult because I feel like similar to the social scene in Australia, you'd meet some group of expats who are established. They've been here for a few years. They have their friends. And I remember, I'd be like that first year uni student, like, oh, what's your WhatsApp? Yeah, let's be friends. And some people wouldn't really be that receptive to that. And I remember thinking, oh, like, I don't know, but I've just got here,
Yeah.
But not everyone, thinking everyone else is in the same boat. But I remember realizing, oh, you spend your time with people that actually value your time and enjoy your presence. Don't waste your time trying to hang out with people or be friends with people that don't actually want to.
Yeah.
And so that was a bit of an interesting one. And then also back in Sydney, I've got my friends I've been to high school with, 10, 12 years ago. We've been friends for like 15 years. And I can always, whenever I'm bored or whenever I'm not, I can always just say, oh, like, do you guys want to catch up? Can I come around? Do you want to go to the pub or get dinner? But here you don't have that established group of friends. You I find that if you didn't all move over together, which I did and I moved over by myself, but you have a friend here, friend there. Recently, I actually invited all my different friends over to my rooftop and we had some drinks. And it was actually, I didn't tear up, but I saw they're all there. They're all getting each other's Instagrams and And then I go now and I look at someone's stories and they're followed by my friends. And I feel like I'm, brought people together, which is really good because for me, I found that it wasn't completely easy for me. I find when I first got here, which is, I think for everyone,
it was the same for me. I mean, it's, I find in the journey, it does change the longer you go on, and maybe Singapore's a little bit different to Hong Kong too, but because, Singapore, I find it's even a little bit more transient than it is.
Yeah, really.
So especially my first few years, it was like every year I would make friends and then half of them or most of them would leave. And you feel like you have to start again and can be actually my first few years were the hardest for that reason because when you feel like you get a bit destabilized with people coming.
Exactly. And then you get a bit bitter yourself. You're like, oh, I don't want to meet these new people. They're just going to get. Yeah. So I feel like the first 6 months for me were quite like that was amazing, lots of fun, but there were moments where you're like, oh my God, have I done the right thing? But here not a month later, a year later, it's going well.
Or it leads into like what keeps you here now? What's the thing that you really just love?
I think what I love, and this is me being a bit selfish, but I find that someone actually told me this, someone who visited, they said, oh, it seems like everyone comes to Hong Kong to not get old. And, and what they meant by that was everyone comes here and acts like they've just finished uni, they're working, they're meeting new people.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a Sydney friend over, her and her boyfriend, they came and they visited and I just said, oh, do you want to come get dinner with some friends and I?
Yeah.
They said, oh, yeah, okay. And they said, oh, like people here are just willing to go and have friends with random people. Like they don't know. I was like, yeah, because we're all expats. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And for me, that is so refreshing because I know in Sydney, I've got my fantastic friends, but if you try and meet other people who are from that city, it's extremely difficult to get into those social circles.
It can be very, just cliquey. And
Extremely cliquey. So
maybe social status I find everyone's a lot more even up in Asia because we all, again, I talked about it earlier, I think we all come up here and we have a shared experience and we're all kind of looking
exactly
for the same things when it comes to talking and connecting.
Definitely. And that's I focused a lot on the social aspects, but I feel like, we're all human beings at the end of the day. We need we need love and affection and community and connection. Oh, this sounds really lame, but basically,
no. I mean, it's the whole point of this podcast is to share these stories. And
exactly. I'm not going to sit here, Hong Kong's great. You can go 1 hour to Thailand, 1 hour to Vietnam. Everyone knows that. But underneath that, I think it's really important. And that's what I love about this city is, you'll meet some people who are really lazy and actually really boring and not nice.
Yeah.
But then you meet other people who are fascinating, fantastic, who, if I was in Sydney, I would never, ever meet them.
Yeah.
And live my whole life.
What I really find up here too is because you have a pathway to PR in Hong Kong, there are actually, and we have a lot of clients that have been up here like 20, 25, 30 years. And they've seen so much here. And it's like some of the stories they have are absolutely fascinating. As well. So maybe we'll get some of them on.
Oh, yeah. I'm keen. I'll be listening. I'll be watching.
Problem is they've been here too long, so they're not PC at all.
Yeah. But dang, you have to edit out almost everything most shut. Yeah.
Cool. I guess let everyone know where they can follow you, Jonas, because I think, we love your Instagram.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, there is. So Instagram, JGROOMY, number 1. Yeah. It's a little personal hobby. I don't take it too seriously. It's not a full-time.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I love the ones with your family eating the egg rolls. That
was hilarious. Very wholesome, very wholesome.
Yes,
but hopefully, Tim, you got a feature in one soon. To get.
I'm not that famous.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Jonas. I appreciate you being here.
So thank you very much for inviting me, Tim. Keen for the next one.
Look forward to it.